Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Holy moly, I am live. It is December 15th of 2025. And man, when I said earlier this year that there is not enough fucking popcorn for the show that you're watching, I honest to God, I fucking nailed it. I nailed it. I gotta get that there's a clip I should have grabbed it earlier. There's like two, I don't know, like two yentas in Philadelphia with like a PA, and they were singing this horrible song that was like, "Trust black women, they lead the way." It's like, oh, fucking, you want to kill yourself listening to it. Anyway, today's, by the way, the Candace Owens meets Erica Kirk thing. That chick is literally is bending the entire fucking internet, and I couldn't be happier. I am very, very tickled by all of that shit, and particularly because of the people who are finally getting their comeuppance. You know, there's a popular term for people like losing their minds and getting violent and losing control amongst the kids. When the kids are slinging their cool slang, it's called crashing out. A crash out. This is a crash out. That's a crash out. And someone I particularly despise is a guy named Tim Pool. He's like some young kid who's like conservative bro, and he's he does a podcast from his home. And I never understand how these guys make money. I don't understand how Charlie Kirk made money. Like, how are you the CEO of an organization where billionaires just come and give you money, and then you argue with college students? I don't understand what they do. Like, I really don't get how that guy made money. Whatever. But this thing is not only is it not going away, it's just spooling up bigger and bigger and bigger than it ever has. So when I saw this, it's both. What I'm going to show you, it's a relatively longish video. It's about 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's both accurate and inaccurate. It's accurate in what it predicts for the future, but it's completely fabricated in what the cause is. So this is Tim Pool crashing out.
Candace Owens is a f***ing evil scumbag. She is a degenerate. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these conservatives out there that send me these messages have no balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't DM me like I did something for you as you cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which he's doing to me right now.
Yeah,
I'm done with these people.
She has security, just not on the level of you.
Oh, yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two no one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy. And she doesn't give a about her security. Meanwhile, I get bullets fired at my property, and I have to go live in the middle of nowhere. And I got strangers coming up to my house in Maryland, breaking in. I got people showing up and beating up the residents who trying to live there. How the am I even supposed to sell this property?
So there's a lot to unpack there. First and foremost, what you are seeing right there is on a display of testosterone. Men that speak to women like this are not tough guys, okay? What you are seeing is actually a display of estrogen. Secondly, Tim Pool doesn't even have the intellect to understand that we put him in the thumbnail because he accused me of being someone who benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination. So this little, and I really like.
All right, well, that's enough. But Tim Pool, right? The conservatard, like literally losing it. He understands that his gig is about to end. Like the whole thing, we're gonna lose the midterms and blah 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 blah, and she's gonna burn it all down. He goes on later to say, we're gonna lose the midterms and we're gonna do this, and man, the Republican Party is gonna be destroyed because of Candace Owens. And I was like, are you fucking now the Republican Party is going to be destroyed because the Jews have cast you in the role, and the Republican Party is Trump, it's white people, they're all proxies for that as racists and pedophiles, and you are going to be hunted and beaten, and no one's going to have any sympathy for you because you will have been cast as racist and pedophiles. And most normies believe it. Like the coordinated Hanukkah attacks, both in Australia and Rhode Island. Way to go, alphabet agencies, doing two of those things at the same time on different sides of the earth. Not an easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do. I was actually quite. What am I doing? Where's my thing? Quite impressed by that. But that being said, yes, it's all going to come crashing down because this is it. This is the peak empire. It's super corrupt, and a lot of people can see it. And that black girl is doing more damage to these people than like I thought was possible. And Charlie Kirk, like I said, I don't know how the fuck that guy made money. I really suck at making money because I should be doing something else. I should be debating college students and running a multi-million-dollar corporation, not driving back and forth to fucking Virginia, for a couple $100 a run, a little more than that. But speaking of which, Virgil Black Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. The vibe, I had to replace the fan relay. So the fan would have, the heat would of course work, but it was either nothing or full blast, and I had to replace the relay, which was a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it wasn't that bad. 2 screws for 1 electrical connection. It's just tough to get to because it was underneath the dashboard. But other than that, the vibe is a Toyota Matrix in Pontiac clothing, and it's just going to keep running and running and running until something, well, I'm not going to let parts fall off it, but it's just going to keep going, although I do get spooked, like this cold snap that we're having. It's about it was 19 degrees Fahrenheit the other night. And I'm driving down the highway. I went to Virginia twice this weekend, and I also went to Morristown along the way. But when I'm looking at the temperature gauge, it says 19 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in a car for another like 9 hours ish, 9 or 10 hours. As long as nothing goes wrong, I'll be, it's just a long, boring trip there and back. And but I see all these cars on the side of the road with their hazard lights on, and I look, and they've all got flat tires, and I'm like, I start frightening myself, like what did they hit? What's on the road? I really don't want to have to fucking change a flat tire in 19-degree weather at my age. I would really prefer not to do that. Luckily, nothing happened, but it does sit on my mind. And I guess maybe it's my way of making things more exciting by scaring the crap out of myself. Like, oh shit, what if that happens? Oh shit, what if that happens? And maybe I'm just doing that to keep my adrenaline up during a really boring, long, boring job. I'm starting to think that I'm starting to think I do that deliberately. I make myself pissed off or make myself nervous. That way I don't get too bored. I don't get too bored. Although, and what was it I thought of? Where was the fucking thing? Where was, oh man, there was a couple of things I wanted to show. Where was the, damn it. Okay. When and I've seen this a lot down in Virginia lately, when I get down to Dulles, there's a nationwide organization called the Sharing Network. And I used to go when I do transplant organs, or we used to do them a lot. I haven't done them in a while. They haven't even asked me to do them. There's the New Jersey branch, so it's the New Jersey Sharing Network, and they have a facility where they coordinate all sorts of stuff. And you go in there, and they got screens all over the place, and they have all this list of all these patients and who's dying and who's harvesting the organs and where the fuck they are. And they send an SUV, like a big, they're not black SUVs, they're white and they're painted with the logos and shit, to airports to wait. And a lot of these organs are being transported on private jets now. And I don't understand why that is. They used to fly in on commercial planes, and we used to pick them up at Newark Airport. It was like really common, and I would go to bring them to there's a hospital called St. Barnabas in New Jersey. We used to go there a lot. Haven't been there in years. And I don't know that anybody's picking up transplant organs from commercial airlines anymore. It's all seems to be on private jets. And that's just sort of like, it's one of those things where you do it, and then you do it less and less. And it kind of drops out of your mind because you don't think about it much. And then, because the internet is ocean of content, I saw this, and it made me think. It started me thinking. So this is a quick 13-second video of a guy sitting on a New York City subway train. So it's an advertisement for you to become an organ donor. Don't hoard your organs. And I was like, holy shit, man, that's really that's crazy that they have that. And where did I see it? And so I went to the comment section, and here's the comment section from that exact video. And it says, you could save up to 8 Rothschilds, and translation, give us your organs, so we can give them to whoever pays us the most for them. And then the third comment was paid for by Israel, or sponsored by Israel. And I started thinking about, the number of times that the chosen people have been caught in organ smuggling around the world, And I'm like, fuck, all this, we're not getting this stuff off commercial jets anymore. At Newark, it's all going on private jets. And I'm like, how much of this really, those are super sarcastic New Yorker comments, but they may be a lot closer to the truth than you think. I'm like, how close for real is that to being accurate? Have the chosen people decided that they're just going to take over organ harvesting and organ transplanting, throughout America to their own benefit? Is that possible? I think it's 100% possible. And because what we're dealing with are a bunch of fucking lunatics, fucking crazy stuff. And when you think of how so many people, it's crazy how many people are seeing this stuff, and they're saying things that 5 years ago would have got you thrown in the lunatic asylum, but it's just every day now. And here's a dude. This is like some bearded military patriot bro, or at least he's got that look. I don't know. The guy was actually in the military, but he's got that grizzled veteran patriot thing. And I saw this clip somewhere else, but this guy reposted it. They do a thing where they split. They have the clip at the top and them at the bottom, where they have them on the top and the clip at the bottom, like that. It's like that Candace Owens thing. You stay on the screen while the other thing plays. But this is just to remind you how crazy the people we are fighting against really are.
Looks like we finally got our answer about the Brooklyn tunnels.
David, if you could explain, why was there a mattress in the tunnels, and what is the stain? A lot of folks are wondering, is this stain feces?
No, it's not feces.
What is
stain
it?
is blood, and basically
we
did rituals. I said that before. There were some rituals that we do in the tunnels, and sometimes the rituals might involve someone who recently died, and we'll bring them down there, and we're trying to do a ritual to bring back the Messiah, which is a Schneerson, if you heard about.
Wait, so let me get this straight. You're doing rituals to bring about a dead person from a dead person in a tunnel underneath the synagogue in Brooklyn. Isn't that Satan?
So it's like, bearded Christian bro. But it isn't just any synagogue. That was Chabad Lubavitch world headquarters. And that's how crazy they are. They take a dead Jew and tap him for some of his blood to try and reanimate. They bring the spirit of their dead Rebbe back. This is fucking lunatic, delusional, crazy shit. And, would they be capable of, like taking over the organ transplantation network in America? Yeah. Do they have the means and the money to do it? Of course they do. They're the ones you always see with Trump and Putin and all these world leaders, or, there's the person you elected, and there's a room full of fucking Chabad Lubavitch. So it occurred to me that particularly when I go down to the Washington, D.C. area, when I go down to Dulles, and I see that the sharing network SUVs waiting for the private jet to arrive, I'm like, that seems more common than like I said, when the commercial jets were used to pick them up. But yeah, that's the craziest fucking things are not so crazy. And like I said, if for those of us who are aware of all this stuff, man, it's crazy, and it's but you got to relax and have fun with it. There was a guy I never saw this before. I got this great fucking clip, like the Hanukkah thing, whether it was it's everybody saying it's a Mossad false flag, everybody saying it's a psyop. Not that people didn't get shot, people really did get shot, people really died, but that's a false flag right at Hanukkah, to create sympathy for the Jews. And now they just said the FBI grabbed 5 Palestinians in Los Angeles who were planning IED attacks against whatever for the new year. So, once again, they got a group full of dudes that are known, that are all known to federal law enforcement, and rev them up, to be pro-Palestinian. Oh yeah, and take some, some road flares and some fucking propane tanks, put them together, and go bomb a synagogue. And they toss that idea out there, and then with the various different tools that they have, convince these unhappy individuals that that's a good fucking idea. And as soon as they agree to do it, and they pick up the road flares and the fucking the propane tanks, boom, the FBI swoops in and grabs them, and and that's that. And hooray for the super FBI for protecting us from these evil terrorists who just amazingly decided that they were going to go blow shit up, and and somehow the FBI knows about it. FBI doesn't know about anything else, but that they were right on top of it. And the thing about the government knowing things it shouldn't know, or amazingly knowing things and controlling the flow of information, in today's day and age, you think, well, it's super common because of the internet and all these algorithms, and the AI and the bots, and they're monitoring you. Well, the original alphabet agency, and I'm not talking about the FBI, and I'm not talking about the CIA. I'm talking about the original alphabet agency designed to shut America up, was created not quite 100 years ago. And that alphabet agency was the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission. And it was created out of whole cloth to silence one man, an Irish Catholic priest. And here's 33 seconds of this guy. His name is Father Coughlin. Coughlin? Yeah, Coughlin.
We are opposed to the printing press, and we are opposed to the fountain pens of the Federal Reserve bankers. Is that right? Who then is the inflationist? Roosevelt or the National Union? I dare you and challenge you to organize so that the people, if not the president, would drive the money changers from the temple, and you did it.
Well, what's he talking about? The Federal Reserve, Roosevelt, communism. And he used to have these big rallies, and they shut down the rallies. And then he went on the radio, and he would have a radio broadcast. And supposedly this guy had like, I don't know, I think it sounds like a very high number, but 30 million listeners, 30 million listeners in the 1930s. And the federal government literally came up with a licensing scheme for radio stations. You could not broadcast any radio broadcasts unless you were licensed by the Federal Communications Commission, which of course is an unelected body of bureaucrats. And the whole point was to shut that guy down, which they did. It didn't quite stop his movement, because people would write letters to him in support, and he had like a monthly newsletter or something that he would mail out to, the people who followed him. And someone, I don't know who, used the entirety of like the Postmaster General. The post office shut him down. They would not deliver any mail addressed to him, nor would they take any mail that he addressed out. So that was the first guy fighting the fight we're fighting today, right? If you haven't figured it out by now, the fight is against the bankers. It's a forever war against the parasites, against those who take value without giving any value in return. And they do this now on a global scale. Lots and lots of people from all different backgrounds have seen this. Some have seen more, some have seen less, some see from this angle, some see from that angle. Obviously, that guy's an Irish Catholic priest, and so he sees it through views it through the lens of the Bible, et cetera, et cetera. But he understood that Roosevelt and the Federal Reserve Bank were the heart of the problem. The difference is, back then, Roosevelt did the let's confiscate the gold coins thing, but the technology of money had not advanced to the point where you can keep it out of their hands. And but we're there now. My friend, he's not my friend. Where's my buddy? Here. Michael Saylor, right? They recently, Morgan Stanley threatened him that, they were going to delist him from some fucking list. Like, they're not going to kick him off the stock exchange, but kick him out of some list, because all he does is buy Bitcoin, and he's holding Bitcoin, and he's not holding dollars or whatever. And he wrote a sharply worded letter back to them, and I thought, well, okay, so a sharply worded letter, so what? But more than that, right after he delivered his sharply worded letter, he went out and bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And then he just bought like another billion, like literally like in the last 24 hours. So in a real way, Michael Saylor's balls have finally fucking dropped. And this, if you follow game theory out, is where we need to go, because it has to be the top people that it must be the elites. And Michael Saylor, though he's not a member of the tribe, is a multi-billionaire, and that makes him elite. The elites have to drive this, because right now they have all the fucking power. So So yeah, finally, they said, "Oh, we're going to kick you out of our little club," and he was like, "Hey, you know what? Play by the rules, whatever." And then he says, "You know what? I'm not asking for permission. I'll ask for forgiveness. Meaning, I'm not asking your permission for what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and that's that." So finally, um, his greed has overcome his desire to be liked by his fellow billionaires. Does that make him a good guy? No, it doesn't make him a good guy, but it's game theory playing out, and that other people, first off, they've noticed that he's done as well as he's done with this. And the reason why they're threatening to kick him out is probably because 2026 is going to be a big year for Bitcoin, and they don't want to see his company the value go up, whatever, 20, 30, 50 times. They don't want to see that, because his company holds tons of Bitcoin, and if it goes up 10x, or what's every other company on Wall Street doing? If you see company A, their value goes up literally 1,000%, you want to do whatever they're doing, right? And if the way that happens is, oh, you buy an whole Bitcoin, this creates a huge fucking problem, a huge problem. And they really don't, a lot of people really don't want that. Where was, I should have done this earlier. But yeah, even the Jerusalem Post, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories spread that Bondi Hanukkah massacre was a false flag. So they're like running around putting out fires everywhere. And in the meantime, this is something from, I meant to show this last week when I mentioned that Bolivia uses stable coins, right? That there's not enough dollars and they buy stable coins and they're using stable coins. And that's for like business to business transactions. But you can see even small consumer items are now priced in stable coins and priced in crypto rather than the Bolivian currency. And that's true throughout Central South America, even Venezuela, right? There's a black market for U.S. banknotes, stable coins, particularly USDT, in Venezuela, where we're currently trying to do a regime change. But visitors report widespread adoption of Tether's digital dollar, well, so except USDC and Bitcoin. This is coming. This is accelerating. Different governments around the world are trying to stop it because they're not ready for it and they don't know what's going to happen. And they're, they all want certainty, right? And all of these government people, they want you can take a fucking risk. You take a chance. You can go broke or go bust or fucking, end up in poverty, but they want guaranteed success forever and ever. And this new thing, they're not ready for it, and they're really not ready for it. However, what else have I got here? What was this one? Yeah. Here's the thing about Venezuela that I thought was interesting, and this is the Guardian. This is like, I guess, the Washington Post of England, right? So what they're saying is, transition is irreversible. Give it up, Maduro. Maria Machado says it's not too late for Maduro's peaceful handover. And this is in Venezuela. And then we killed a bunch of guys in fishing boats, a couple of human traffickers or whatever. But can we take that country? Can we successfully invade that country? I don't think we can. I don't think, normally the work up to this would be you'd see the Marines prepping, the CBS News special report. We're here in Camp Pendleton in California, where the Marines are preparing to land at the beaches of Venezuela. They're using this super duper piece of equipment. They're training that. Look at all the guys running and screaming and with their rifles over their head. They're not showing that because we don't have it to do. I don't think we have really the personnel to take Venezuela by force, which is why they're saying it's inevitable. Just give it up. Don't fight. Just give it to us. And I think they're hoping to trick Maduro. And I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, maybe it'll work, But if Maduro says "fuck you," I'm going to fight. You know, it's going to be wild. America can't afford to lose, but who do we have to send there? Where do we have the troops? You know, like I said, like in Yemen, we can stay, 500 miles off the coast of any country and bomb the fuck out of them remotely with drones or with jet fighters or whatever. But we don't have the boots on the ground anymore. And if the U.S. Navy proves to be unable to, not up to the task in Venezuela, that's a big fucking deal. So I'm kind of watching that like with half an eye, like, oh, how's that going to go? Like exactly how is that going to go? Because we're asking for a freebie. We're not dictating in terms like, listen, we've got 15,000 Marines on landing craft en route. You've got 4 days or 4 days or a week or however long it takes to sail down there. You got like 3-4 days until we fucking show up. And then when we come ashore, that's it. There's no stopping us. We're not saying that, and I don't think we can, because I do not believe we have the personnel. I just don't think we do. But, whether it's necromancy in the fucking death blood rituals in the tunnels underneath the synagogue in Brooklyn or whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that that people don't see. The superficial stuff is what most people believe, but we all know that in the background, other stuff is moving. And this, I laughed my ass off. I laughed my fucking ass off. Where's this guy? This is my man's Mamdani, the great Muslim rent controller. But apparently, and this has been going on for a little while. This has been moving its way through the courts for a while. But there is a landlord constitutional challenge. A group of owners represented by the Institute for Justice, that sounds like a fair name, sued New York City, arguing that rent stabilization on vacant apartments prevents profitable renting, violating constitutional property rights. What that means is if you have a rent stabilized apartment and you die, a lot of times what people do is they'll have their family come in to stay there to keep that apartment at that rent. Because if you die and the apartment's empty, they can just raise the rent to market rates, which of course is what they're trying to do. And are they going to get the Congress to go along with them? I'm sorry, the Supreme Court to go along with them? Probably. So Mamdani's going out there like, I'm going to lower your rent, this and that, da, da, da. And he's financed by the same people who are pushing the let's raise the rent everywhere all at once in New York. And I think that's fucking hilarious. New Yorkers are going to get it so fucking bad. So bad. But that's why when I routinely mock people thinking like, you're not going to vote your way out of this, you're not going to kidnap the governor of Michigan or whatever the fuck, all these dopey Fed ops that they push, none of that's going to work, right? You're not going to elect Adolf Hitler king of America or whatever stupid shit. Like, when you're done being a childish fucking moron, you have to look at what can you realistically do. And what you can realistically do is opt out, and successful examples of that are dudes like Michael Saylor. And I know you're saying I don't have $1 billion to spend. I get it. But what is your alternative? I look around and I look at a lot of different things and I try to listen to different people, but you just have the same shit ideas that have been losing since William the Conqueror. You know what I mean? When William the Conqueror owed his money to fucking Aaron of Lincolnshire and sent you off to war against the French, you thought, oh boy, we're fighting for England and we're doing this and that. You're just paying off this guy's fucking debts. That's all you're doing. And when they finally figured out, oh, hey, we can put entire nations into debt and then make guys go kill each other and make even more money from that, you've been losing that war, this forever war, for the last 400 years, right? You keep thinking, we'll do the thing that failed last time. We'll do the thing that failed in France. We'll do the thing that failed in England. We'll do the thing that failed in Germany. We'll do this thing that failed in Russia. But this time it'll work. It's failed literally 1,000 times before, but this time it's going to work. I don't have any, I'm done, like, up to here with that stupidity. I don't listen to that. And that's why I said this channel is for people who fucking understand that the economic system, the form of wealth today and going forward, has to be something that is really hard to steal, right? It's not impossible to steal, but it's hard to steal. And I got to do more on that. I have to do more on that. But where should I go? We did Tim Pool crashing out. And here's the thing. I'll do the French stuff, the French toast. There's some indication that bad actors in Europe are doing the things that they would likely do. Doing the things they think are going to work, that have always worked against every other threat to central banking. This time, not working out quite the same way.
The Communist Party in France is going to put every single Bitcoiner in the country in serious physical danger with their new law. Here's the reality. France has become the global capital of the $5 wrench attack. Nearly 1/3 of all violent physical attacks against crypto holders in the last year happened there. We're talking kidnappings, torture, and people having their finger cut off for their seed phrases. So what is the government doing to protect them? Well, they're not. They're serving them up on a silver platter. A new amendment will force you to report your self-custody wallet to the state if you have more than 5,000 euros in crypto, even if you never sold a single sat. They want a list of how much Bitcoin you have and where you live, creating a massive honeypot for bad actors. Remember, French tax agents have already been caught this year selling taxpayer data to organized crime for targeted burglaries. While gold and fine art owners do not need to disclose their holdings, this law essentially creates a shopping list of Bitcoiners for kidnappers to go after. And in true French style, the civil disobedience has already begun. The co-founder of Ledger has proposed a sabotage strategy, where everyone declares the ownership of fake billion-dollar coins to flood the system with garbage data. But rather than get wrapped up in vaporware altcoins, others are calling for mass non-compliance, simply refusing to report anything at all. Make no mistake, the French state is broke. They care more about ring-fencing your capital than they care about your well-being. If this happened to your country, what would you do?
Okay, so what's in Bitcoiner terms, the $5 wrench attacks. What if somebody does come in and the French government is using criminals as proxy? But what if the IRS kicked in your door, or some state agents kicked in your door? What would you do to keep your Bitcoin out of their hands? You got to think of that. I suppose I'll have to try and do a show on that to explain some things. But one of the things you do, like this bedroom closet, don't leave all your important shit in the bedroom closet. That's what everybody does. The cops are literally going to come right in. That's the first place they're going to look. Smart burglars, that's the first place they look. When they go to rob rich people, they don't go look in the refrigerator, and they don't go look in the living room. They run right to the master bedroom, right in the fucking closet, and look for the safe, because that's literally where you sleep, right? It's the stuff you sleep on. You keep it closest to you. So you're going to want to think about responses, not so much criminal responses, because you're probably not living in France. I don't think I have any fans in France, any subscribers, I should say, in France. But you should think about state actors. You should think about some sort of police or government agents in the United States. What would you do? Could you leave some fakes there? Could you leave something for them to find? Aha, we found the hidden stash, and they're happy and they run away, and the hidden stash is empty. Like the CEO of Ledger says, claim that you have $1 billion. Everyone claims that they have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Obviously, no one has $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and it's not worth trying to find out, you know. But if you do, if in front, let's say the French example, you honestly report, oh, I have $5,000, $10,000, $8,500, $26,000, whatever you have in Bitcoin. Now that makes you a target. How big of a target and for whom, you know, is to be debated. But if you say, I have $500 million worth of Bitcoin, and everyone says I have $500 million worth of Bitcoin, then nobody has it. So there's different strategies you could use, but for your own personal edification, you should think about, well, what if somebody did? Because when I show the picture that the Chinese woman, the English police go in and catch her, they always catch all these people and the hackers, the Bitfinex hacker, and all these other hackers, because they keep all this shit in one fucking place, which is easy to access for them. Like you keep shit in your bedroom closet. You keep your guns, your money, your jewelry, your important documents, blah, 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 in your bedroom closet. People keep their Bitcoin seed phrases in their bedroom closet. Well, that's the easiest place for people to find it. So if you think about moving it to a less easy place to find, and maybe, like I said, putting something in there that is not your seed phrase, it looks like it, and they'll grab it up and go, someone grab it up and go, aha, I have it, and scamper off, right, to get away from the crime scene. Your stuff stays safe, and they get nothing. You should start thinking about that. Again, the French stuff, the French government obviously using criminal organizations to frighten people, but the so-called $5 wrench attack, because Bitcoin is, the network is too powerful. There's too many computers. You'll never crack it. All that shit about quantum computing that they were talking about in the beginning of the year. Nobody's talking about quantum computing anymore. Oh, quantum computing could do this. Quantum computing could do that. First off, it doesn't fucking exist. And second off, it has to go through the existing wires. So it's not going to be able to overwhelm the whole network. But nonetheless, that's a $1 billion or $50 billion attack on Bitcoin. And if you have $50 billion, why attack Bitcoin? Why not just join it? However, if all you have is a $5 wrench, meaning like a pipe wrench or a hammer or fucking a brick, and you can smash somebody in the head and cause them to go, oh, here, take my Bitcoin, just stop hurting me. Well, then the $5 wrench attack is the more dangerous attack to you. And you should think about ways to defeat that in advance. Think about it now before you need to think about it. That's what you should do. Because the world's getting fucked up. Let's go back to some anti-Semitisms. I love the anti-Semitisms that I'm seeing. It's very creative in a lot of ways. Some people, even this chick who's ranting and raving, has some very good insights.
Here's the bottom line.
What?
And I want to say this clearly and without interruption. Israel's war stopped being on Hamas a long time ago. Israel's war is on the American First Amendment. Israel's biggest threat to its existence is free speech and people being exposed to the factual evidence of the war crimes that Israel is committing in real time. And that is why every time information is being freely shared about Israel's war crimes, the first immediate action that pro-Israel forces do in America is try to take ownership of that media. We see that happen with CBS. Just a week ago, Ben Shapiro was at a conference where he was openly bragging and thanking the capture of CBS by a pro-Zionist owner. Right now, as we speak, TikTok is in an ongoing deal to be owned by some of the most Zionist pro-Israel voices that the country has. And even your own leader, Netanyahu, was talking to a room of influencers calling TikTok the new weapon of war, and that he is so excited and can't wait for TikTok to transfer ownership to American owners. So not only is Israel reliant on American taxpayer dollars, it is completely arrogant about it. It bites the hand that feeds it, and it wants to oppress not only Palestinians, but the American people themselves.
So that chick's kind of thinking pretty clearly. I like the cut of her jib. I like the cut of her jib, and a lot of evidence stacking up that she knows what she's talking about. Here's a quick 40-second video where what that young lady was just saying is being articulated by a Shabbos.
And so we are living in a time of miracles and unprecedented opportunities. And the challenge for us here, and with this I'll end because this is key. The challenge for us here is to leverage Israel's successes into our successes and our victories here, because we are one people. Israel's weakness is ours and Israel's strength is ours. And now that Israel has turned the entire geopolitical situation on its head, our job in the diaspora is to leverage those wins and win here. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there, and on that, the IAC is focused.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Do to our enemies here what Israel did to the Gazans. Are they going to bomb your house? They're going to make you homeless? They're going to fucking blow up your fucking children in the street? Your kids throw a rock and they're going to mow them down with a tank? Are they going to literally flatten your fucking neighborhood? Well, that's what this guy implies, right? That's what they did over there. They're going to kick you out of your house with settlers, right? Are those settlers going to be migrants, Section 8 people? So that's the challenge. That's it is very much in your face, and there's nothing you're going to do to stop it. You're not going to vote your way out of this. Nobody, Nick Fuentes is not going to save you. Tim Pool is not going to save you. And this has been going on for a long time. Speaking of which, staying on the same subject, staying on Nick Fuentes, the half Mexican homosexual who works for the CIA. Even the fucking normies are getting it.
Is Nick Fuentes a Fed? Many people, including Elon Musk and Ian Carroll, are asking this question for different reasons. One, because Nick hasn't asked any questions about who killed Charlie Kirk, and instead has just accepted and is promoting the narrative that it was Tyler Robinson, a lone shooter. And also because this footage of Nick Fuentes on January 6th is going viral. We already know from the Justice Department that the FBI had 26 informants and undercover employees at January 6th. Some who entered the restricted area and the Capitol when they were not supposed to. Nick has responded to these allegations, saying that he testified to Congress under oath and he has never spoken with law enforcement or cooperated with them. So we pulled it up. And when he was asked if he's been interviewed by FBI or federal law enforcement, he pled the fifth. He also pled the fifth when he was asked if he was employed and what his source of income is. Now, it's important to note that he was never asked, are you an FBI informant? Do you work for the FBI? Are you working with law enforcement? And the reason why is simple, because if you are working with the FBI or as an informant, you're legally not allowed to confirm it. You're trained to deny it, covered by confidentiality agreements. Now, many people find it rich that Elon Musk is telling us that Nick Fuentes is a Fed, because many people think that Elon might be because of his extensive work with the federal government. But is it possible that he might just have inside information and know something that we don't? It's also important to note that more than half of his retweets are coming from countries that are hubs for engagement farming. Is someone or something trying to amplify his voice and his message? So, is he just a really good Fed, or someone who was compromised along the way, or is this just another reach? As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
So even the fucking normies know he's a Fed, right? Even the normies, they went and they pulled the fucking records when he testified to Congress. Even the fucking normies. If the normies can see it, and these are normie conspiracy theorists who don't put shit together. One of the things I love watching, and I just Googled this not that long ago, is when they go, it's not the Jews, it's just the Zionists. Zionism is not the same as Judaism or something like that. And so I Googled what percentage of American Jews support Israel, and it's like 85%. Like 85%. And this is like recent, you know what I mean? This is a couple of days ago. So, this is where you're at, bro. You have to sit there and go, oh no, it's not all Jews, it's just the Zionists. But, Yeah, we know who it is, right? And we have, you got to understand that this is really a fucking forever war. And part of the reason why it's a forever war, because you keep picking fucking losing strategies. And they don't. Here's where they just slowly fucking win. Here's an example, a 100-year example of them slowly winning everywhere.
A land dispute between rednecks in the 1920s is the reason that people have to take a 30-year mortgage out to buy a house today. And this story is going to show you how intelligent the banking industry is, because they turned an obscure countryside dispute into the case law that restricts affordable housing today and makes every American get a mortgage. It's 1925, and the farming village of Euclid doesn't know it yet, but they are about to become the battleground for the most important Supreme Court case in American real estate history. This was a simple rural village, but it was strategically located near Cleveland. And the Amber Realty Company bought hundreds of acres of land to create apartment buildings and an industrial center. The mayor, on behalf of his residents, blocked the development because the farmers didn't want competition for their farmhands, and they certainly didn't want apartment buildings driving their property values down. He didn't know it yet, but this caught the attention of the richest bankers in America. So he took him to court, and in the first hearing, the courts sided with the developer because up to this point, there was no legal precedent for restricting development because it would just make houses go down in value. The judge forced the mayor to step aside and let building commence, and the mayor was about to give up hope until his lawyer, James Metzenbaum, got a call from New York City. He was told by his friends in the banking industry to appeal the case to the Supreme Court, and New York would send their best lawyers at no cost. Now this small-town mayor had a team of the greatest legal minds from the banking industry fighting for him. So the question becomes why would this simple case become a battleground for the biggest legal minds in America? Because the banking industry wanted zoning laws to restrict real estate development. And it's simple economics. Give local governments the ability to restrict the supply of housing, and then housing will naturally go up in price and become more expensive. And expensive things need to be financed by banks. So the case is heard by the Supreme Court, and despite a passionate argument on property rights from the developer, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that local governments could restrict development in order to protect the economic interests of existing property. And within a decade, almost every local government in the country had their own zoning laws, and predictably, real estate prices started to go up. In fact, they doubled every decade for the next century. So by the 1960s, people generally had to take a 10-year mortgage out to buy a house. By the 1970s, it was 15-year mortgages. By the 90s, everyone had 30-year mortgages. And now we're looking at 50-year mortgages, and it is one of the biggest wins for the banking industry. And it all came from a simple court case in 1926, the Village of Euclid versus the Amber Real Estate Company. Anyway, I hope that was of value to you. If you like history videos like this, give me a like and a follow. And if you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you guys on the next video.
And I actually commented on that video. I was like, oh yeah, it just so happens that some small town Jewish lawyer just out of the blue gets contacted by the most powerful bankers in Wall Street who know what the fuck is going on in Cleveland. How would they know that? This is an era before the internet. This wasn't broadcast on radio. And they created a market, the American housing market, right? By restricting what land you could build on and what land you couldn't build on. They made their housing more expensive, and now you need the bankers. This shit has been in place for at least 100 years at this point, and it's not getting better. To think that you're going to make some sort of little fucking changes around the edges of this and affect some deep change, you aren't. Okay, it just isn't going to happen. So I say, drop out, like literally opt out, right? You really, really need to opt out because what is it? Here's Elon, who everybody knows. I love to beat up on Elon, but here's the third richest man in the world. The third, I think, the second or third richest man on the planet Earth, trying to answer a simple question about his own fucking business.
Watch Elon Musk completely glitch for a minute and a half when he was asked the very basic, simple question, why do we need X? Why is it important that we're connected on your platform?
And why is that important, Elon? collective consciousness to have one platform?
I guess, yeah, why is that important? I guess it's, you could also say like why, you know, if you consider humans, like humans are composed of around 30 to 40 trillion cells. And, you know, there's trillions of synapses in your mind. But there's not, the why of it, I mean, I guess it's just so we can increase our understanding, increase our understanding of the universe. So I guess I had this sort of question about what's the meaning of life, you know, like why is anything important?
Yeah, we need Twitter to figure out the meaning of life and to unlock the secrets of the universe. That's the third richest man on the planet. You aren't going to tell me he isn't a puppet for the Rothschilds. I will go to my fucking grave and I will fight anybody telling me that that guy has a fucking IQ higher than fucking 86. He's a junkie, a fucking ketamine junkie, and that's it. And that is that. Yeah, this is how are you going to fix that? How are you going to fix that? They bring this guy in. They make, you know, he says, oh, he can send the rocket that goes up, and the rocket lands like a helicopter. It lands. If you ever, I've watched helicopters land. Helicopters don't land as smoothly as those SpaceX rockets, which the company's supposed to go public, I think, in 2026. And normies are like, yes, oh. And all they're thinking is, I wish I was as rich as Elon. That's all it is. It's just, it's all about being rich. However, this is much more like what's going to happen for you. This, first off, and I said this a while back, this is a real quick video. I said that the world's going to turn into access control, like where you're allowed in, where you're not allowed in, you know, and you're going to see it initially in retail, but pretty soon you're not going to be allowed in certain zip codes. And already on the low end of retail, this is not Saks Fifth Avenue. This is not Van Cleef and Arpels. This is what they're doing at the retail level.
Yeah, let them take a picture before you can enter into Burlington. Look at this shit. Oh, wow. Y'all won't get nothing out of here.
So Burlington Coat Factory, where they have cheap polyester coats made in China, you have to stop and take a photo to stop the shoplifting, right? And yeah, and that's not going to get better. That's really not going to get better. And the America that you're going to see in the next 5 or 10 years is going to be so fucking insane. You aren't going to believe it. There's a bunch of dudes joking about it, but I don't think that guys are saying. These are just like some podcast bros. Listen to the ideas that they're tossing out.
Prediction markets will replace buying stuff. I want someone to bring kiwis to my house. I make a prediction market about whether someone will deliver 4 kiwis to my doorstep and load $15 into no. A guy with an e-bike sees it and picks up some kiwis. Before dropping them off on my doorstep, he bets yes. Drops them off, the market resolves to yes, and he gets $15. Rest in peace, Amazon, DoorDash, Uber Eats, etc.
Prediction markets will replace relationships. I have a crush on your girlfriend. I make a prediction market about whether she will leave you for me and load 15 to no. She sees this and drives over to my place. Before texting me she's here, she bets yes. She comes inside. The market resolves to yes, and she gets $15. Rest in peace, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Raya, bars, restaurants, etc.
So those guys are playing around with the idea, but yeah, that's that. Add that to to these stable coins, these digital dollars that are going to go across borders instantaneously you're going to have some really fucking interesting times ahead. And when I say interesting, I mean fucking scary and unprecedented. And there's already like, you know, when you think there's something to say, I got 2 more things on gambling. This is a Australian comedian.
I love betting, but I do think we should just get rid of the betting apps. I think we should bring back having to bet in person. Bring back the bookie. Because there are so many bets I would never make if I had to look another adult in the eye to make them. And they should read it back to you as well. I would never make it through the whole reading. Just like a well-dressed 60-year-old man, he goes, okay, Billy, 12-leg multi, we're up to leg 6. You have Debbie and Sam to win the block this season. I'm just going to take that one back, mate. I am. No, I saw their bathrooms. Did not match the aesthetic of the home.
So the guy's talking about some, I think, reality TV show in Australia where you pick the couples that are going to get married or something. I have no fucking idea. But the point he's making is that smartphone gambling is out of control, and it's not just in American college campuses, it's worldwide. And this is going to drive more fucking behaviors than you can possibly fucking imagine, and faster than you can imagine. And if you think, oh shit, it's going to get really sick and twisted, it's already sick and twisted. It's going to be sick and twisted on steroids. This, I really, sometimes I look at this shit and I'm like, no way this is actually happening. But it's real.
A funeral at a casino? Yeah, that's right. Casinos across the country are rolling the dice on a brand new way to boost revenue by offering funerals right on the casino floor. For just $10,000, grieving families can now book a VIP farewell package that includes complimentary rooms, flowing champagne, a live DJ, and even a limo hearse ride straight to the casino doors. Private areas will be reserved for the dearly departed, featuring blackjack tables and slot machines right in the funeral room, because if you want to celebrate life, why not hit a jackpot while the eulogy's going on? And get this, players can even use their lifetime comp points to help cover the cost, so the final bill won't be a burden on the family. So if you got loved ones who live for the slots, now they can rest in peace right next to the penny machines.
You think like, no way, but yes way. Yes, welcome to 2025, by the way. Welcome to 2025, everybody. It's gonna be wild. The 1920s was fucking insane, and the 2020s so far to me is looking pretty fucking insane. But I'm here for it. I am here for it, as the kids say. Do I have anything else to put up? Oh yeah. Lastly, okay, one more. This is again, it's just hilarious how they're going, like, they're just circling all the way around it, and these guys got to be losing their fucking minds when they see shit like this. This is Tucker Carlson talking to, I don't know, some geek, but once again, they're pointing directly at it, but they're not saying the word.
What is Kabbalah? Kabbalah is something, after the destruction of the first temple, the Jewish people were famously enslaved and taken captive by the Babylonians. This is where the book of Daniel is written, and they picked up Kabbalah from the Babylonians back in maybe 5th century before Christ. And that they kept it. It eventually becomes, Kabbalah is essentially, it's a form of, and people would say magic. I mean, Gary Lockman says that what we think of as occultism is all essentially Kabbalah, at least in the West. It's a form of magic, but essentially what Nick Land believes is the Jewish people, that they kept, the Kabbalah, it eventually becomes digital life, through ones and zeros. But it's a Gnostic religion, which is to say it's hidden from non-initiates. Yeah, I mean, there's a mainstream version of it, but it's a precursor to digital life. So what Land and a lot of these people believe is that the actual salvation that the Jewish people provided was keeping Kabbalah, which eventually becomes digital life, which eventually becomes AI, which eventually becomes the creatures in the Book of Revelation, which essentially later go on to destroy humanity and fulfill the Book of Revelation. But that is a good thing. A lot of them believe.
So you hear how he said digital life becomes AI. So Kabbalah is AI. We know that AI is not artificial and it's not intelligent, but there's so many people coming at this from so many different angles, and they're all seeing a little piece of it. And no one, it's like that. There's a meme of like a bunch of scientists trying to figure out an elephant. One of them holds its trunk and says, "Oh, this thing's like a snake," and the other one touches the elephant's leg and it says, "No, no, no, it's shaped like a tree." And then someone else touches the elephant's ear and they say, "No, no, no, it's shaped like a bird," you know. And they're all seeing like little parts of it, but of course nobody gets that that it's an elephant. And I was particularly tickled by that. So yeah, the Jews stole Kabbalah from the Babylonians in the 6th century BC, and now they're in the tunnels under Brooklyn trying to Kabbalize their former religious leader or something like that. You know, like you could say, I wish I had more technology. And listen, I could buy it, but I'm not going to plug a computer into the internet. That would be inviting way too much fucking heat. But yeah, to string all these fucking clips together. Oi, oi, oi. Oi, oi. Anyway, what have we got? We got everything. It's all about Candace Owens. Trust black women. They lead the way. So, well, let's finish with what am I? I got her on here. I don't even know what she's talking about here. I don't remember, but we'll finish up with the girl whose name you're going to hear quite a bit. She's not going away, and the fact that all of these feds, Nick Fuente and all the rest, are now trying to chase her because she's got the #1 podcast on the planet. I don't think they understood really what they did when they messed with this chick.
Regular Candace was a problem. Postpartum Candace? Here's you done.
You get a pat on the back and you can say that you helped this country, which was formed in 1948, pretending to be refugees. What happened? To be refugees. Let me finish my statement. When I say pretending to be refugees and being invited into the home, you would think that these people were helpless and were going to be grateful to the people that hosted them. People like Muhammad Hadid. One day they return home and their doors are locked. That's the reality of how Israel was established as a state. America wants a regime change in Iran. It's because Bibi Netanyahu is demanding it. And
Iran has been the main sponsor of terrorism.
Israel has been a terrorist state, imparting a genocide and a Holocaust on the Gazan people. I'm going to call Iranians terrorists. If they right now had an open concentration camp, we'd all be saying this is ridiculous. So if we're going to get behind a regime change, it should be in Israel first.
The only democracy in the Middle East.
Not a democracy. Stop saying that, Pierce. Iran's regime is not negatively impacting America on a day-to-day basis. Generation 9/11 has grown up. Open borders. Well, in the UK, they just can't seem to connect the dots. Don't understand where all these refugees are coming from. Oh, what you get when you keep supporting these non-stop wars was funding these open borders. Eric Weiss said this verbatim. The Jewish connection to the refugee is not a conspiracy. That's something that we are very proud of. HIAS, and she says it explicitly, which she said what was started by them in the 1880s. They are still the organization that's operating at our border right now.
Dishonorable discharge can result in forfeiture of all pay and allowances up to 5 years confinement.
Yeah, I'd want my kids to go to jail before they fought for Israel. Take that consequence any day.
I got to tell you, man, I'm very, very charmed by that young lady. I am super charmed by that young lady. Really hope nothing happens to her. Anyway, they have an entire fucking apparatus. They're moving like heaven and earth. She's the Father Coughlin of the 2020s. You know, that's the way it seems to me. She's got a religious background. Or she's like a Christian person, whatever, and she's sounds better than the father, or at least the father was pretty good for his day. But you don't want to get into a verbal cage match with Candace Owens. And so watching this is going to be a lot of fun going forward, and how everything that's inevitably going to happen as the empire crumbles is probably going to be blamed on that girl. And but she's not going to sit there and take it quietly. It's going to be a party. It's going to be super interesting. Anyway, with that, we are at 1 hour and 9 minutes. 1 hour and 9 minutes. Time to do what? An hour and 9 minutes. It's time to smash up the like button. Smash up the like button. Get ready for Christmas. See the circus for what it is. Keep doing what you're doing to subvert the system that you were born into, right? You were born into communism and debt slavery, and it's an uncomfortable realization. You don't want to think that, but that's the truth. And we're not going to be able to reverse it all at once, but step by step, we can reverse our way out of it. And guys like Michael Saylor standing up to Morgan Stanley, I'm basically saying, fuck you, I'm just going to buy more Bitcoin. And I know you don't have $1 billion, and I know you're not going to buy 10,000 Bitcoins, but you take what amount of your government money, your government issued currency, you can spare and turn it into something they can't steal from you. And that is a much bigger act of rebellion than you know. And, the day-to-day price action, you literally ignore it because nobody knows what's going to happen in the short term. But long term, we know we know where this is going. I know where this is going. I've been saying this since 2021 when Bitcoin was $10,000 or $12,000, and now it's crashed. Oh my heavens, it's crashed to $88,000. Poor me. Over the long term, continue to fight in the only way that's legal and that they can't stop, and will ultimately end them for real. Because if they can't control the resources, if they cannot control the incentives to act, that's it. They have no power. And if they can't stop you from acting, they have no power. Just like you can't shut Candace Owens up, you can't stop people in the Bitcoin network from exchanging value without permission. And that, I contend, is the most fucking important thing to come into existence in the last fucking 500 years. Anyway, with that, Virgil Dot, Purple Heart, and everybody lurking in the background, a couple of the lurkers I've had, everybody in the Rumble channel, Rumble Bros, smash up that like button. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and I'll talk to you again next week.